Hey, how you doing? Here we go again. So Friday night, normally I might have been doing a live, but lately I've been so busy, never had time to actually do any lives. But just thought I'd do a recording and stick it up, like hopefully get it up for either tonight or tomorrow. But just sort of like, have to deal with this again. I don't like going over sort of like giving people airtime they truly don't deserve, especially like misogynistic, like paraffin lamps. Do you know what I mean? But the sometimes you just gotta like say something, you know. Um, and it's like dealing with these dirty little cowards, and these little like dirty little spies, and then these little thieves, that all work together, work in the darkness, okay, that work for the dark, that work for definitely not the good side, and try to actually cause harm and lie. All right. Now, somebody like actually who knows my like contacts, who knows my email, all right, who has actually corresponded with me on an email, even if it was well over a year ago, still doesn't matter. All right, they've got it, they know it, right? Emailed my wife's email, okay, to make threats to me on my wife's email, right? What is that about? Okay, how cowardly do you think you are? How dirty is that? So, this is why I thought I'm going to say something here, because how misogynist can you actually be? You know what I mean? And this was actually, I actually said something because watching this creature, right, like bully women and thinking it's clever to bully women, and then having other people thinking he's clever for bullying women, right? This is definitely not a man, okay? And like hiding away like a little cowardly little scumbag. But anyway, so the now on two emails that he could have contacted me, one of them, right, that he has again, he corresponded with me, but he also corresponded with Jez, not big Jez, little Jez, the other Jez, all right, on my admin email. So, two of them that he knows that he can actually get a hold of me. So, being a little skunk. And this is very, very funny, strange thing and funny thing, right? Wasn't that long ago, and he was like slagging off somebody else, all right, for saying that it was like something was their property and that he had stolen it and was doing something with it, and he's obviously just like everyone was denying it and saying, well, this all came from way ago, like under Winston Shrout, when everyone was learning through him. The videos are still there on YouTube. You can go and watch them now. All right, talking about these processes. So definitely nobody can be claiming that they invented it, be it the three-letter notice or an accept for value. No way at all. Okay, but there you go. But anyway, and it's really weird because like coming up to this week, we just got a small members group that we did on a Thursday. I was on last night, and it was only about, I don't know, 20, something like that. Like we got together, and I had planned all week. I'm going to actually go over this like accept for value. So we had planned this and everything yesterday. Well, planned it all week, and yesterday was going to. I did do it, right? And then this email gets sent, not to me, to my wife's email, right? Okay. So like complete misogynistic behavior. And we had like been doing various different versions of that. Now I've got a video, it's still on my channel now, with the other Jez. We've got Jez's everywhere. Okay. Talking about like the promissory note and the A for V. It's a money order. Doesn't matter how you pronounce it, like be it an A for V, accept for value, promissory note, PN. It's a money order. It's a financial instrument. Okay, it's a financial instrument, no matter what you call it. a money order. Now, again, if you can look, just go and look at it for yourself on YouTube. There's other ones there, and they're doing it through what do you call it? The gyro slip. You can see Paul Webster doing it, and it's the same type of thing. And I did an actual course, or maybe about like 2.5, 3 years ago, with a guy called Tazdak, and I actually went, and it was an well, for me, it was like from midday right the way till 1 a.m. on the Saturday, then the Sunday, and then the same for the next 4 weeks. And it was mainly on that type of thing, but the accept for value. And the first time I came across it was actually when I first came back from Spain, and we were living before we were here, because we actually lived even further in the country in Northumberland. In an old little mining village. It was just literally a street, and I bought that book. You see it? I think maybe a lot of you have already got it. So I was like reading this book, and to me, I was like reading it. Like when I had first come back from Spain, when I went to Spain in 2007, right? What happened to me is going to be happening to a lot of other people now. Okay, and over the next couple of years, we lost everything, right? So we had a lot of property investments. I had before I had been like a mortgage broker, believe it or not. So I had been working with other mortgage brokers, obviously, and now we were into property development because I had a very successful martial arts school at the time, and so with these contacts, we developed a portfolio of properties. And on that 2007, we lost everything, including our own home. Right. So I'm talking about having nothing. It's not a sob story, I'm just telling you exactly what it is. And I always thought this was done on purpose, and I need to look into it more, which is why I do what I do now. Then we went to Spain, we stayed there for a lot of years, and during that time, then the internet starts to develop, doesn't it? It wasn't that big sort of like before then, and things are happening, and you're getting the social media developments. And I was always investigating from the point of view of mortgages and the financial system and how it was manipulated. So then got back to the UK 2012, December 2012 anyway, so 2013 we'll say. And then I got that book, the Strawman book, and I was looking into that, and then through their research got into touch with somebody, and it was that was probably about 2014, and someone was explaining this to me, and I did not get it at all, the accept for value and everything. But that's how I actually got from there to get in to contact Tazdak. You may or may not like him, whatever it is, but anyway, and I did a lot more through him. We did like the 1099 course, and I bought them all recorded as well, get them on like the flash drive. All right, so we did the live course, and then from there, I got the recordings, and you're going over it and over it and over it. And there's only so many ways you can say accept for value. There's only so many ways you can say promissory note. There's only so many ways you can say affidavit of truth, or whatever it would be. Okay. And I guarantee you, nobody can stand there and say, right, make threats and say, I'm going to sue you for my intellectual property. I mean, we've even heard this from another friend of mine, not going to say any names, and someone was threatening to sue him. I think it might be the same guy, that does two different names, and both of them are hideous characters. And I think they might be the same person with two different names. I don't know. It's just very weird that the nastiness that comes out is identical. But anyway, by the by. And he was, again, this is my intellectual property. Same type of language, you see, but saying it with a different name. And he was saying, and he's talking about acts and statutes. Acts and statutes, right? If there was an intellectual property, belongs to Charlie Boy, doesn't it? I mean, he's going to be at least coming up soon. They're all outside waving their flags. He's going to be the king, isn't he? Right. So if there was someone who owned the intellectual rights or to property, owned intellectual property and acts and statutes, it would be him, wouldn't it? Well, it wouldn't be somebody on Facebook, that's for sure. Anyway, So, and I had planned to do that presentation on that promissory note. I didn't show the video of me and Jez, but if you want to go and watch that, you can see it. It's still on my channel. Then we just went over the progress of it from the promissory note to the accept for value. It's just two different ways of doing a different thing. I didn't show the gyro slip bit, but I did show like what would look like a bill, but it's just a blank piece of paper so you can see the writing, but you would write it on there. So, I guarantee you that nobody has got intellectual property rights to this. And, if they have, then they can watch it now because I'm going to share it with everybody publicly on their YouTube. So the first thing that we're going to do is show you the promissory note. This is the one that Jez was showing and he showed like on my channel. So let's go and share the screen. Okay, so this is the promissory note that we had shared on the video that I've done with Jez, and I think Jez might still share it. I think someone was telling me he's got another channel. So if you see, we've got like the promissory note, and everything that we're doing is under the Bills of Exchange Act 1882. Okay, it's got the reference number there. You can get a hold of all of these. So we've got at the top, it just says promissory note number, and that's just the number that you are going to create. On the left-hand side, it says promissory note was issued at, and that's going to be your address, and then your date. And then here, what we're going to do is we're going to do what's called a sum certain. It has to be a sum certain. So you're going to put the amount for the promissory note. First one you're going to do is in numbers. So let's just say it's £100. You put 100, okay, with the pound sign. On here, you're going to write it in £100 only, written. It's got it there. Very much like an old-fashioned way that you would do it, a check. Okay, so this certifies the I. And then you're going to put your name, ID number, and that is your national insurance number. Hereby promise to pay, and then you are going to put the name of who it is that you're paying. Okay, Dirty Debt, Jones Dirty Debt Company Limited, you know what I mean, or HMRC, anything like that, and they will be the holder. Okay, and the holder the full amount specified on this note for the value received. So the terms and conditions, the payment will be made in monthly installments of. I mean, if it's going to be one-off payment, you're just still going to write it in there, whatever it would be, £100 per month on whatever day until the obligation has been fulfilled. The payment can be obtained by the holder at, and you're going to write the address again. I hereby give permission to the holder and or the holder in due course of this promissory note to use the note in any way necessary as a negotiable instrument to be financially traded on, whereas such trade shall terminate the obligation herein, and then you sign it and date it. Okay, that is how you would fill it in. If you look at people like Michael Tellinger, they've got very, very similar ways of doing it. What you want to make sure is that you've got all four corners, don't have a border around it, don't have a line around it, don't have a pretty pattern around it. And that is the front of your promissory note. Okay, now this is going to go on the back. Now look, there's 1, 2, 3 there, and then we go down, there's another 3, 6. So we're going to cut these out, you see? And then you're going to stick one with a Pritt stick or whatever onto the back of the promissory note. And it says, this bill of exchange is hereby transferred by endorsement to, right, and you're going to put their name for payment or at the site of the sum of, okay, and you're going to write the sum in there, okay? Transferred by, that would be you, of, that's your address, national insurance number, non-commercial customer, endorsed by, that means that you're actually going to put your autograph or your signature there, and then you put the date. Okay, very simple. So there, you're right, you can see you're just going to cut it out. You've got 6 of them here, and then you would stick that on the back of the promissory note. So we showed you the front, and there's the back. So now what we'll also do is we're going to send them a burden of proof, which is a notice that you're going to send with them. Now, remember, I'm not telling anyone that you have to do this or that you should attempt to do this. It's totally up to you. Whatever you do, all right? What I'm saying is loads of people have been asking about this before. Loads of people talk about it, all right? What you can't declare is that this is your intellectual property, because it isn't. And the bills of exchange isn't either, okay? and neither is the fact of a promissory note, or an accept for value, or an affidavit, or anything like it, right? And you're an absolute prat for trying to actually say so. So we'll go on to the burden of proof now. I'll just going to share the screen and you can have a look at that. All right, so you just have to excuse the spelling mistakes, right? But it's just going to be you send this off with the actual promissory note. So we've showed you what to have it on the front. We've showed you what you can glue onto the back. And then what you've got is for whom it may concern, for the action I or we are taking are in line with the Bills of Exchange Act 1882, Part 4, Common Law, Contract Law, the Consumer, protection from unfair trading registrations, God's law, and the Universal Postal Union Constitution. That should say. Please note these bills of exchange have been docked at the post office, giving them jurisdiction over port authorities. For the IOE, also require proof of this subject matter jurisdiction in court. Well, before we proceed with this matter, as director and beneficiary of my legal person or corporation, you have 21 days to respond in writing and proof of claim with evidence that you have legal and lawful authority as my public servant to bother me at all. Do you understand? Again, I or we also remove your implied rights of access to. You put your address down, your postcode. Doing so will be a criminal offence. Do you understand? And then you put your autograph there and the date as well. All right, so that is the burden of proof that you are going to send off with the promissory note as well. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll go on to share the what they call the accept for value. Now, I have seen many of these all over the place, right? From you know, people like Tazadak, people like Winston Shrout and Paul Webster, to name but a few, and you can get many others that are doing it as well all over the place. I've actually got piles of them. So you can only write it in certain ways. You can't like reinvent the wheel, okay? So let's just say that this is the front, and this is going to be on a bill, by the way, okay? So you're just going to write over the top of the bill. So this is the front of it, tells you there, and put offer with some certain, and you have to write the term some certain, i.e. bill, statement, letter. This is what this is. Okay, so you stick the stamp on, and then you put that by, and then you put your autograph over it in blue, okay? And it's going to be a unit, a pound or a penny or whatever, before they disappear, that is. All right, so, and then we're going to write this at this angle in red. Well, you know, this is just a made-up figure, obviously, right? But £212, and then we write it as the figure, the pound sign, the numbers, accept for value, return for value, exempt from levy, exemption ID, and that is your national insurance number. Then underneath in blue, of the same angle, okay, you're going to put by, then you sign it and date it. All right, and then we're going to put deposit to HM Treasury and charge the same to Fred Smith, obviously your legal name, capital name, and then you do the same insurance number, but or social security number, or whatever you have. All right, but you separate it. So you got the first two letters in the UK one anyway. Then you got the hyphen, the numbers, the hyphen, the numbers, the hyphen, the numbers, all in doubles till we get to the end. Now, normally it might be a tear off slip, but if it's not, just draw two lines. And then under the two lines, write money order, put your date, and it's in blue, credit to HMRC, Dirty Debt Company Limited, whoever it's going to be. Then write the amount in the pound sign, okay? And then write by, and then put your autograph there. Okay, that is it. That is the front. And you just write over the bill. Okay, find anywhere where they can see it so they can say that's written, and make it nice and big, nice and bold, nice and red and blue. Right, so you write it like that. Okay, that's on the top part. Then on the bottom part, you can write that. Anywhere where it'll fit in, really. Okay, anywhere where it'll fit in. So don't panic about it. Just make sure that it's bold and it can be seen on, because what they're sending you is not a bill, it's an offer. And you're just writing over the top of their offer. So we'll go and have a look at the back of it, shall we? So you can see, look, see, it says back there. And this is just the back of what would be their bill. All right, so what you're going to do, nice and big, nice and bold and blue, you just put by and put your autograph across or signature across. Still a stamp on there. And you can get it stamped by the post office if you like. And then again, if they haven't got a tear off slip, put 2 lines there, right? Draw the lines on, and then you write on the bottom, nice and bold, nice and blue. It doesn't matter if there's all there black right in there. Make sure yours is bigger, bolder, bluer, and just write it on at that angle. They're going to see it and they're going to read it. So you put for deposit to, well, whoever, Scammy Debt Company Limited, account reference number, blah, blah, blah. All right, by Fred Smith without recourse. Okay, so it's quite easy. And that is the back of the accept for value. So what you're doing with the accept for value is you're taking their offer, their piece of paper that they've given to you, and trying to tell you that it's for the, you know, your whatever it would be. Now, I'm not telling anyone to do this. It can be for an electric bill, gas bill, tax bill, council tax bill, all right? But they are going to have a kickback. Do not do this unless you have got it in you to do the paperwork after they actually starting to get on your back, and then stand up and even be ready once you've collected your evidence pack to go and stand in court and argue the case. If you're not willing to do that, do not even try this at all, ever, right? It's just not worth the grief. Very rarely. Now, we have a few people like that have we've been working with, and they have done well. One guy up to like 9,500 wiped off completely on a credit card. Another one has got the closed down with the HMRC. However, right, you have to be the one that is going to do it, and you have to be able to stand there and fight your corner, okay, when it comes down to it, and have the evidence pack. And you have to stand there with the evidence pack, be prepared to go into court with your evidence pack to defend and say, well, this is what we've done. You know, it is the bills of exchange, right? It's your act, not ours. There is the evidence. We've done everything we're supposed to do. It's cleared. Okay. If you can't do that, then don't do it at all. So remember, what happens is you get your first, well, whatever bill, final bill, whatever it would be for anything, council tax, tax bill, credit card bill. Then you're going to fill that in like that, either the promissory note or the accept for value. They are both financial instruments. They are both money orders. There's no difference. What you will find is even when they argue with you, when you send it to them, they'll not give you it back. Why? Well, after 72 hours on the Bills of Exchange Act 1882, after 72 hours, it is automatically accepted. What they'll do is they'll actually cash that. They will send that off. They'll send it to the Treasury and they'll get it cashed. But they'll still want more fiat currency from you because they want to keep you down. They don't want you being happy. They don't want you getting away with things. All right. So they're going to ask for you to supply some fiat currency as well as what you've just given them there. I mean, that has got a cash value already, what you've given them. So now they want more cash value from you. That's just the way it is. So we have to start sending them notices now to actually state what's happened. So the first thing you're going to do is send off an affidavit of what is true. People call it an affidavit of truth. I don't like the truth because that is just an opinion. I like to say an affidavit of what is true. But I've got the paperwork here to show you anyway. All right. So you send off the affidavit. Let's have a look at it. Okay. So affidavit, statement of fact, notice of distress, notice. The parties, Fred Smith, that's obviously your name going into there, non-domestic without United Kingdom. Hereinafter, you are the affiant. All right, and then you've got Bob Jones, director of their company, 99 Rob Street, whatever town. Hereinafter, they're going to be the respondent to the affidavit. Okay, so you're the affiant, they are the respondent. So then we write it out on the facts. Number 1, on or about that date, I, a man, Fred Henry Smith, received an offer to settle account, blah, blah, from Jones Company. On the next day, I did post by recorded mail, tracking number is in there, a full acceptance of the offer, along with a money order for a full and final settlement of the account to respondent, to which Bob Jones, who at times acts as Bob Jones' director, has created a fiduciary relationship with I, in line with the Bills of Exchange 1882, Part 4, Section 831. According to Royal Mail Tracking Service, delivery of mail number Royal Mail blah blah was made to the respondent on that date, signed for by Jones at 10:21 a.m. And if you've got the tracking number, it'll tell you what date, who signed it, and at what time. And number 4, both the fiduciary relationship and the money order are accepted by the respondent, as no rebuttal was received after the 7-day period that was offered by I. Therefore, accepted in full and final settlement of the account in line with the Bills of Exchange Act 1882, Part 4, Section 83(1). I say on the record and for the record, upon the full unlimited commercial liability of I, that the above affidavit of I has been read by I and say all herein be true and will verify at open court. I say the man Bob Jones, who at times acts as Bob Jones, Director of Jones Debt Collection Limited, has 14 days to respond in full to the sworn affidavit of I. Part response is no response, and all responses must be from the man Bob Jones. That should be in red. Okay, in his personal capacity. This document is marked as private and confidential. Any response from a third-party interloper will be treated as a breach of trust business and non-response. True words are expressed in the form of an affidavit, subscribed and sworn under perjury, blah, blah, blah. Okay? All right, and then what you do is you get it sworn. You can get it signed and sealed by an officer of the court, which is a public notary. Okay? So what we're talking about there, all right, when we're saying like a fiduciary relationship, what it is everything like that is a trust. Everything. A mortgage is a trust. A loan is a trust. A credit card is a trust. Or if they send you an offer, it's just a trust relationship. It's called a fiduciary relationship. So all you're doing is you're stating on the affidavit that they created a fiduciary relationship with you. They did. All right. So we're actually hinting that they are the trustee, basically. Our fiduciary trustee. That's all that means. All right. So then we wait for a response. Generally, you might get one from what we call Agnes in the office, which what we're going to do, anytime you get any kind of response, which isn't from Bob Jones, all right, which you're not going to get, then we send a conditional acceptance. So let's just have a look at one of them. And again, a conditional acceptance, I see hundreds of different versions of these and they're just so similar. You know, you can only write the so many times and at and det, you know. All right, so let's have a look at it then. All right, so on the conditional acceptance, you've got a letter coming in from Agnes in the office. All right, I think we're calling him Ben here. So on the right hand side, we put our name and address. On the left hand side, we put their name and address. We are on the right. Okay, so we just put notice of conditional acceptance to the man Ben Jones, who at times acts as Ben Jones, agent of Jones Debt Company Limited. All of them are just acting as their legal fiction. Okay, that's why we're writing it out like that. It isn't the man. Is that too far away? No, it's just Ben. Okay, then he put the reference number down, and then he put, I, a man, Fred Henry, received correspondence from you in relation to the above referenced account. Dated that date. I will be happy to settle this matter upon receipt of proof of claim that this has not already been settled privately with your director, Bob Jones, on or around that date with a money order in line with the Bills of Exchange Act, that part. I'm happy to allow you 10 days for receipt of this notice to provide proof that the account has not been settled. Otherwise, I, a man, will consider further correspondence to be a chargeable matter and will hold you liable for the time of I in dealing with this matter. The charge for correspondence of this kind will be £100 per item. Okay, so there is the conditional acceptance. So what we will do is send that off every time that we get any Agnes in the office that's writing in. Okay, so you know, stating we need to pay this, this is not acceptable, blah blah blah. But they've kept it, right? They haven't sent it back. So, and then you would send that as many times as you would need to. So then we've sent them the affidavit of true, what is true. So then what we're going to do, we're going to follow it up with the opportunity to cure. They are on the right, they are on the left. This is just put the date in. Notice of fault and opportunity to cure. Again, I've seen tons of different ways of doing this, but they're all very, very similar. You can only write opportunity to cure as opportunity to cure, unless you change it to a German or French. All right, so to the man, Bob Jones, who at times acts as Bob Jones director. Affidavit of truth delivered, Royal Mail number. I, the man Fred Henry, have not received any response to the above referenced affidavit. And remember, if it's a part response, it's no response. Anything that you get from Agnes in the office is no response. It has to be from Bob, it has to be from the man, and it has to be signed by him. Okay, Bob Jones is therefore granted a further 7 days to respond with substance, right? With substance, that's an important word. that part there. Okay, it has to, you can't just go, oh no, this isn't true. They have to explain it, all right, as you have, point by point. Okay, failure to respond as directed above and within the time stated above shall convey by default and without further notice your complete agreement and all facts stated in the affidavit of I. This will then constitute the affidavit of I as true in fact and the full binding agreement of the parties in respect to this matter in lines of the Bills of Exchange Act, blah, blah, blah. Okay? And then all you're going to do is you're going to get your autograph here, and then you're going to get a name and the signature of a man or a woman who did witness. They are not a witness. They are a man or a woman who did witness. All right? We're not talking legalese here. So same thing again. Now what will happen is you're going to give them a certain amount of time. It's just written that down in there. And then if they don't respond again, what we'll do is we're going to give them an affidavit of non-response. We have to do these steps and we have to mark these steps up. And that's why we use the Royal Mail tracking number or your country's version of the tracking number, so that you've got all the evidence of what you have done in line with the Bills of Exchange Act. So you did the money order, be it the A for V or the promissory note, whichever one, and this is the same process. Okay, so we did it. Then we've sent them the affidavit, right, saying, look, we've given you this. Why haven't you closed it? Then we've given them the opportunity to cure, and now we're going to move on to the affidavit of non-response. That's if they haven't responded. You never know. They might just close it, okay, and go, yay, no problem. But let's have a look at that then. Okay, so this is the affidavit again. This is obviously starting off the same, the names and the addresses. Okay, then we're having some legal maxims that we're writing in here. All right, I'm not going to read all of them out here, and it's telling you who the affiant and the respondent is, and it's the affidavit of non-response, because they did not respond to you with substance, which meaning there isn't just going, no, not true. It has to be a description, point for point, to argue your points. So to the man, Bob Jones, who at times acts as Bob Jones' director, there's your address and his address. Okay, and this is the facts. Fact number one. On that date, the affidavit of truth here and after affidavit was served on the affiant, served by a affiant on a respondent via that Royal Mail tracking number. And on that date, we see that it was signed for at that time. Okay, and that's what we've got proof, and that's why we do it through the tracking numbers of the Royal Mail or your version in your country. The respondent failed to respond within the 7 days granted by the affiant as stated in the affidavit. On that date, this is going on to number 4. Okay, on that date there, the notice of fault and opportunity to cure was served to the respondent via that Royal Mail number, and it was then received and dated and signed for by that Smith. Again, number 6, respondent did not respond within the further 7 days granted by I. As of that date, the affiant is not in receipt of a sufficient response to the affidavit, and the respondent is now in default and dishonour. Okay, due to there being no rebuttal being received, the affidavit is through the silent acquiescence of the respondent. Silent acquiescence, remember, that's how we use it on the L&D. That's what they do to us all the time. Use our silence as acquiescence. Is now accepted by all parties as being true in fact, and the respondent agrees with all the facts stated in the affidavit by tacit agreement. What that means is, again, they use our tacit consent to say that we've agreed to everything, all these acts and statutes, because we were silent. So it's tacit consent or tacit agreement. I do affirm and state on for the record upon my full commercial liability that the affidavit read by I, contents to the best of my first-hand knowledge of I to be true, correct, complete, and not misleading. Then there's the date, you put your autograph, and again we get a name of a man or a woman who did witness. They are not a witness, they're a man. All right, so the next one that we're going to do, we've sent the affidavits. Now they could keep going on and on and on. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one final affidavit, and we call it an affidavit of matter closed, something like that. All right, so let's have a quick look at that, and this will be our final notice in the sequence for the evidence pack that you would be creating. All right, so that you've shown, or you can show that you've done everything correct. Okay, so the final affidavit, statement of fact, starts off the same. It's a notice, and there's the parties. You, obviously, you are the affiant. Bob again is the respondent. It's got the legal maxims all written for you. Not going to read them all out for you there. And it's stating who it's from, and it's from you, obviously, against him. And then we go on to the facts. Okay, number one, the offer was received. Okay, number two, all right, we actually sent off the by recorded mail the money order with full and final settlement in line with the Bills of Exchange Act. Number three, according to the Royal Mail, it was received and signed for. Okay, number four, on that date, affidavit of truth, hereinafter affidavit was served by affiant on the respondent. Okay, that's the first affidavit that we sent. That's fact number four. Fact number five is showing that it was received, okay, by Royal Mail tracking number. All right, fact number six, on that date, notice of fault and opportunity to cure. All right, why? Because they did not respond. Okay, next date, fact number seven, the affidavit was served on the respondent and it was signed for, and we know it through the Royal Mail tracking number. Number eight, fact number eight, respondent did not respond within the further 3 days granted. Okay, as of that date there, a fine is not in receipt of a sufficient response to the affidavit and response, so the respondent is in default and dishonour. Number 10, due to no rebuttal being received, the affidavit is accepted by all parties as truth and fact, and respondent agrees with all facts stated in the affidavit by tacit agreement. Okay, the tacit agreement, like I said, is what they do to us. All acceptances of offers, presentment of money, acceptance of fiduciary relationship, which is what I was saying. It's all a trust. It all is. Presentment of affidavit of truth, presentment of affidavit of non-response and opportunity to cure. And this final affidavit of truth and matter closed, this is what this is, or presented in line with the Bills of Exchange Act. The affiant gives 3 further days for respondent to rebut these facts. If no rebuttal in substance, with truthful stated facts by the man, Bob Jones, big line, get out of there, acting as Bob Jones, director, making a mess. All right, is received in those 3 days. All affidavits are fully accepted as truth in law. This matter is now closed. The account is now settled in full and closed in line with the Bills of Exchange Act. Okay? All right? Sworn under threat of perjury, blah, blah, blah. And you're going to put by, and then you put your autograph. And that is the last affidavit that you're going to send. It says this is the matter closed. So you're not going to send any more, no matter what they say. So what you would do then is you would actually just always send a conditional acceptance. So some people say, well, what if I just keep sending it? You always send a conditional acceptance. It's also keeping you in honor. And then you've got your evidence pack. They keep everything together with all of the proof of sending. So you've got the Royal Mail tracking numbers that you did send them, when they were received and who signed for it and what time. Okay, so you've got it all printed out and kept, whichever like mail service that you're using in whichever country, but we're doing the Royal Mail. And that is your evidence pack to actually present to a court if it got that far. Okay? But, right, I'm not telling you to do this. I'm not saying that anyone should actually go out and do this. I'm just saying that lots of people are asking, so we're showing it. Some people do get success, others struggle, but I do think that it's actually a mental thing as well. You know, have you done it correctly? And are you ready to stand as a man or a woman on that? Okay, standing under the law of the Creator. That's what you're doing. So the Bills of Exchange Act all works with what they call fiat currency. So it's not real money, is it? It's not money whatsoever. And that's why you're allowed to do it. In the United States, when I learned how to do it, it was called the House Joint Resolution 192, HJR 192. Again, stating, very similar to the Bills of Exchange, but that this is for fiat currency and that you can settle your debt with a promissory note. And that's what it states. So that was the way that was learning it from the American side. But you were still using the social security number or your national insurance number, whichever one it would be. So that part's similar. All right. So, and that is all the paperwork. Now you could have seen that. You can actually go out and do that yourself now. Absolutely no problem. Okay. So that is it there. I wanted to show you that anyway. I planned on showing that anyway to the group and to going out in public. And then that happened. All right, the things you have to deal with. It's not bad enough that we're living in like a scandalous world. They're actually trying to create this fictional existence of your legal. Okay, you got your legal fiction. Well, under and it's getting more tyrannical every single day, isn't it? So let's just hope everyone's going to enjoy themselves over the weekend, going out and waving the flags around. There's got bunting and flags everywhere, but right, each to their own. We're all on a different journey. We're all on our own path. Some people are on worse ones than others. Some people have just got the darkness and the evil seeping out of them, and they're never going to change. They literally have entities living in them and on them. Okay, so hopefully I would be able to be one of those Dracula slayers or vampire slayers. I'm not Buffy, or am I showing how old I am there? Didn't really watch that anyway, but one of my students used to love it. But anyway, so there you go. I am this weekend, I'm away down to a big martial arts event. I have been increasing my training a lot over the last few weeks because I want to do some things, and you know, I've been training really hard on all sorts of different things, push myself till I'm in pain, right? But then you got to push through that pain barrier, haven't you? And that's how we actually train and get ready. And once you're getting used to your own pain and you're putting yourself in pain, it's harder for other people to put you in pain and it'd be bothering you. You know, this is a Friday night now. We used to actually years ago, we used to do full contact sparring when I was getting my fighters ready for fight, or I was getting ready for a fight. And we used to do it on a Sunday afternoon, and we would go in full contact. It was crazy. It was like, you know, just basically like a full-on fight. But a lot of these people had to go to work on the Monday. And a lot of them were getting ill. I was ill. I was really ill, bashed up and everything. And a lot of these I'm going in like, well, people are way bigger than me, pushing myself really hard, you know, because I was doing like, you know, 10-round fights, you know. But we had to change the day because these guys were going to lose their jobs. So we had to change it to the Friday. So we're going on the Friday night, and it was like lethal, you know, in my gym. Absolutely crazy. And batter the living hell out of each other. Best friends, you know, before and after it. We didn't drink or anything like that. We're all on this really like solid athletic professional path. You know, but then it gave you the full weekend to recover and be able to, hopefully, a lot of them to get to work on the Monday morning. I didn't actually have that problem because I was in the gym anyway. You know, so it didn't matter if I limped in or crawled in, you know, and did whatever I had to do, and you know, with the other people in the gym, you know, they were used to it anyway. But yeah, so we had to do that. So this is a Friday night. But now, all right, I'm not doing that. I'm actually just sitting here, but I'm training hard, and I'm going down for a big event this weekend. Really looking forward to it. I haven't been down to anywhere like this for quite some time. And you know, getting ready as well. I'm back in court with a few people as it's coming up over the next few weeks. So fingers crossed for all them. All right, but anyway, there it goes. You take care, and we'll see you all very soon. All right, keep going.